All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Academic Writing Centre's second webinar. If you missed our first one 2 months ago on generative AI and writer autonomy, please head over to our YouTube channel for the videos broken down into headspace-friendly 5-minute chunks. My name is Divya, and I'm the head of languages at CentraleSupélec and also the founder and director of the Academic Writing Centre. And we're here today to discuss EMI, or English as a Medium of Instruction in Higher Education. Now, EMI is no longer a new phenomenon, but I still categorize it as a pretty unique phenomenon. It's not your classic language learning methodology or practice, such as Content Language Integrated Learning, or CLIL, or EAP, English for Academic Purposes, or even ESP, English for Specific Purposes. While it shares similarities with these practices, EMI has its own distinct characteristics, the main one being that unlike other language courses, EMI courses typically lack explicitly stated language teaching aims. EMI courses focus on content and tend to minimize the guarantee of English language improvement. No one teaches an EMI course thinking, great, I'll work on my students' English language skills as well. In fact, most EMI practitioners I know worry that their English might not be as fluent as some of their students. And so EMI practitioners present the goals of the course as clearly content-focused, and never have I heard any of them say that you will leave this course having really boosted your English. So within this complex landscape of EMI, there are lots of questions as to why people do it, first of all, and how they can do it in the best way possible. What are the right questions to ask when we make decisions about how EMI environments are done? What are the priorities? So these are some of the things that we hope to explore with you in today's webinar. So let me introduce our wonderful guest today who will be joining me in the conversation. Currently head of languages, culture and the communication department at ENSTA Paris, Sinead Namour is an academic manager and teacher with extensive experience in France. Her key interests include linguistics and curriculum development for the sciences. She recently collaborated with Bethany Cagnol of Telecom Paris on a MOOC now available on Coursera entitled Promote Your Scientific Results. And she's a graduate of Queen's University Belfast and Université de Lumière Lyon 2. After a BSc in economics at London Metropolitan University and MSc in international trade from IAE Lille, Tom started a career in the textile industry in the north of France. However, his true vocation lay in language teaching, and so he took the agrégation in English in 1995 and has never looked back. And since 1996, he's been a full-time teacher at the scientific English faculty at Aix-Marseille University. And among his other responsibilities, of which there are many, Tom ran the international office and is also currently director of the Language Centre. Tom is also the president of RANACLES, the French Association for Language Centres in Higher Education, and deputy treasurer of CIRCLES, the European Confederation of Language Centres in Higher Education. Julie is a professor of English Studies and an international exchange officer for Australia, Nordic countries, Ireland, and the UK at CentraleSupélec. Julie is fortunate enough to work across language, culture, and international relations, and this has led her to places and encounters that she's never dreamed of in her former career as a thespian. However, despite the apparent differences in these worlds, her main priority has always been clear and convincing communication, whether on stage, in the classroom, in a debate, or at a round table. What a team, and what an honor it is to be speaking to you all. So let's dive straight in. I'm going to start with the classic response to the why do EMI question, which is for institutions to be able to compete on an international scale and attract students from all over the world. Sinead, let's start with you. Maybe you can talk a little bit about how EMI influences the global competitiveness of ENSTA's engineering programs.
Hello, Divya. Hello, everyone, and thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon. Yeah, like you said, it's a great question to get us started. I'd like to begin by saying that at ENSTA, I'm actually responsible for the engineering program for the first 3 years. So that corresponds to students who are between like 20 and 22 years old, who have already done 2 years of preparatory classes in France at a very high scientific level. This context, it's important in terms of EMI because our French students already come to this, grande école with a very solid technical and scientific background. ENSTA specializes in mobility, for example, energy, robotics. So the students, they come to this school because they have an interest in these fields. Why am I contextualizing this? Well, it's important because when it comes to internationalizing the program, which is, as we know, the buzzword of the moment, it means that a lot of our international students who arrive in second year, they come to ENSTA, and a lot of their courses are actually in French. The scientific courses and the technical courses are in French. And they have to arrive at ENSTA with a level in French, right? To be able to follow that curriculum. So I think that the question of internationalizing the program in terms of EMI, why would it be interesting for an institution like ENSTA? It would be to attract more European students who potentially would be interested in coming to ENSTA and benefiting from the scientific and technical expertise at the school. Our current intake of international students is based obviously on partnerships that we have with partner institutions. In North Africa, for example, we have a specific partnership with Tunisia, with a school in Tunisia. We also have students coming from, Colombia, a lot of Brazilian students this year. But I would say that for the moment, in the actual engineering program at ENSTA, most of the scientific and technical teaching is actually in French. Which is not the case for the wider Institut Polytechnique de Paris, which is a group of 5 different engineering schools on the Plateau de Saclay, including Polytechnique, Telecom Paris, Telecom Sud Paris, and INSAE, where students do have the option of following like a Master's 2 program entirely taught in English. I'm not sure, Tom,
okay.
If you want to
jump in. I was just about to ask Tom if he could contrast that perspective, I don't know if it is a contrast with a public university perspective,
So obviously the first reaction is competition. Did somebody competition? It's like the elephant in the castle whenever you're talking about the public sector and you go, no, it's not competitive. But obviously it is when you're running a master's program in science, in humanities, and whatever, then you're looking for the best students, and so there's the idea of competitiveness is at master's level definitely a reality. So Aix-Marseille University, which is the biggest francophone university in the universe, as everybody knows, has what I'm going to be saying. Whatever I say, it will be right in some places and it will be wrong in other places because there are so many realities and so many different situations. But the big thing about Aix-Marseille University is that since 2019, we've been part of a European university called CIVIS. So it's a university, and just like all the big universities have become members of these alliances. And so what's interesting for me is to look at this gives you the background to EMI, which is actually taking place, on the ground. And obviously the deciders, it's not the chancellors or the presidents or whatever of universities that are not deciding on individual EMI programs, but they are setting the tone. And I guess the tone for CIVIS is actually quite positive because it doesn't mention competition. It mentions multilingualism, for example. I mean, you go onto the website and it talks about a multilingual environment, which is fantastic. Oh, hang on, we were talking about EMI. So sorry, other elephant in the room. Did I talk about multilingualism? No, can't talk about multilingualism in an EMI webinar. Okay, who invited this guy? All right, yeah. So there we have it. Another thing is this sort of apparent contradiction between the construct, which is multilingual, the construct which is very societal, and then focusing on one language. So is English not just the pragmatic solution at the moment for civis? That's the thing. It's about being pragmatic, but it doesn't prevent. Unfortunately, that's what I like about the European alliance that we're in, is that it doesn't actually prevent so it doesn't EMI. We can perhaps talk about that right at the beginning. It doesn't actually need to be a factor which reduces multilingualism. Actually, can increase if it's done correctly. If we can encourage the right students to be mobile and to actually look at the country they're living in, be it the plateau of Saclay or Aix-Marseille, Aix-en-Provence and Marseille, etc. So
yes,
Aix-Marseille University is very much engaged in the social aspects, which are not the competitive aspects. Otherwise, yes, talking about the preparation of our students for the real world. Well, in the real world is Europe at the moment. We have some students in Wuhan, because everybody's in China, but there again, it's about competitiveness, but it's not really about competitiveness, because when you're the biggest, you're not looking for more, you're looking for better. So it's a different type of the notion of competition. Okay.